Are you struggling to create beautiful paintings in watercolors? You know what? Most of the studies in the art industry shows that about 70 to 80 percentage of beginners are facing problems with watercolors. And the common issues includes difficulty in managing water and paint ratios, and difficulty in blending colors seamlessly, and difficulty in creating light and shadows, also difficulty in adding intricate details. Are you facing any of these difficulties? If yes, what are the problems that you are facing in watercolors? Just type it in the comment box so that I can help you in upcoming videos also. And I have a good news for you. If you are facing any difficulties with watercolors, also if you are a beginner in art, today I will help you to make this beautiful greenery landscape using watercolors in a step-by-step manner. So through this tutorial you can learn watercolor and make this beautiful greenery landscape. So let's start. My name is Sachin. I am an artist and I have a dream. Welcome to our art channel. Let's start with step 1. In this step, we are going to make a beautiful outline for the landscape painting. So in watercolor painting, when you make an outline using a pencil on the watercolor paper, there are 3 important things you have to focus on. What are those 3 important things? I will tell you. Here I am using a 300 GSM watercolor paper. GSM means thickness of paper. Higher the number, the better the paper. For making an outline, I am using a mechanical pencil. So why mechanical pencil? Because if you make an outline for watercolors, the outline must be very thin. To make thin lines using pencils, it is always recommended to use a mechanical pencil. Or you can sharpen your pencil really well. Then also you can make really thin outlines. So in watercolors, when you make an outline using pencil, you have to focus on 3 important things. Number 1, you have to make thin outlines only. Number 2, don't use eraser too much because it will damage the paper. Number 3, focus on overall neatness of the paper. Then only when you apply the paint over the paper, you will get the beautiful result. While making an outline for the watercolor painting, some artists really do all the details, but I like to do it in a minimal style. As you can see here, for the tree, I did only the main portion and the branches. I didn't draw the leaves. The leaves that I will paint later. In step 2, we are going to start our painting. And in this step, we are going to paint the sky and the mountains in the background. So how to paint it? What are the materials required? How to blend those colors? I will explain. First of all, for watercolors, we need several tools, which is of course watercolor paint. Watercolor paints comes in 2 main forms, which is watercolor tubes. Here this is the watercolor tubes, and another one is in form of the watercolor cakes. In my art career, I have used watercolor tubes more, and I will also suggest you to go with watercolor tubes if you have. And to mix paint, you need watercolor palette and brushes, and as the name says, it is watercolors. You have to add water to the paint and you need water. So these are the tools required, and of course you need a watercolor paper to paint. When it comes to watercolor brands, here I am using Winsor & Newton and Senlier. If you are using watercolor tubes, there are 2 categories of paint you can buy. Category number 1 is student grade paint. Student grade paint, and category 2 is artist grade or professional grade. If you are a beginner or professional artist, I always recommend to use artist grade watercolor tubes because it will give you the most richest colors and your painting will be more vibrant while using professional or artist grade watercolor tubes. Hope you understood about the tools in watercolors. So let's start our step 2, which is the background painting. For colors I am using Winsor blue, turquoise, purple, Winsor lemon, sap green and cadmium red. Most of the colors that I took is cool colors. It will help me to create a cool atmosphere. And for the brush, I am using a zero size brush which is called a point brush, because my painting is really in small size. It is actually an A5 size paper, so I can use a zero size brush for that. To mix the colors, as the name says, it is watercolors. So to mix the colors, you have to add more water to the paint and mix it really well with the brush, and you can apply it over the paper. And there is a strategy to make light and dark colors. When you add more and more water to the paint will become lighter. When you add very little water to the paint will become darker. Also, you can dark a color by layering. When you apply multiple layers of paint, the color seems to be darker. So these are the basic strategies of watercolor painting. As you can see in this video, I started painting mountains. So far away the mountains become lighter in color. So I have added more and more water to it and blend it well to make a foggy effect. There is another strategy to make a vibrant watercolor painting, which is to mix a lot of colors. You can see in this painting, I am making the mountains. For the mountain, I can use turquoise color, or I can use sap green, or I can use some yellowish green color, and I can also use some straightforward yellow color. In that way, when you mix different colors, your painting will be more vibrant. For the distant mountains, I am using a bluish color, but when it comes nearby, I am mixing it with more yellowish green color, which makes an atmospheric perspective. In that way, I am completing the background. So just like that, using different types of greens, we created the background. We wait until it dried. Then on the next step, I mixed some dark greens. If you have only sap green in your color palette, mix it with a blue color. You'll get a color which is similar to a dark green color. Then apply it on the corners of the mountain, and I am making some bushes over there. Then the background will finish. Welcome to step 3. As you can see here, we are continuing our painting with the rest of the mountains and the pathway. So how to mix those colors, I will explain. In this step, we are painting the rest of the mountains, and I am reducing the water content in the paint mix. So it will create a more darker colors of green, and I am also mixing the green with yellow color to make a gradient effect. So yellow plus sap green, or yellow plus sap green plus blue color will create the desired effect for the nearby mountains. So like that, you can use a point brush to fill all those areas. In this step, I took darker color of the green and painting the shadow of the tree. Then I am painting shadow of the faraway mountains, and I am painting some grass also. This will create some details. Even though we didn't do too much details, it will create a effect for the viewer. For the pathway, I am taking lemon yellow and cadmium red. Along with that, I am adding a little bit of green to it. That will create a uniformity along with all the surrounding colors. And at the end, I am mixing violet or purple with it to create a light and shadow effect. In that way, we can easily make a pavement or pathway in our painting. Step 4. In our painting, the house is the main subject. So how to paint a house in watercolor in minimal effort? I will explain it for you. While painting the main subjects in our artwork, you have to slow down the process a little bit. I'm mixing lemon yellow and cadmium red for the lighter shade of the house, and for the darker shades I am adding purple to it, so it will create a light and shadow effect. For the roof of the house I am taking a simple blue color. Why blue color? Because in this painting most of the colors are cool in nature. So when I take cool colors for the roof, it will create a harmony in the picture. And don't forget to add the details, because house is one of the main subject in our painting. We can go for more detailing. So viewers, I automatically attract to the main subject that we did more detailing to it. That's how I completed the house painting. Step 5 of our watercolor painting. In step 5, we are going to paint this tree, and remember that tree is also one of the main subject in our painting. While painting a tree, we have to focus on 3 important things. What are the 3 important things? I will explain. And there's a funny little thing happened. I made a mistake. Not in the painting, but I forgot to shoot the first layer of the tree. But I will explain what I did. For the leaf portion, I mixed yellow and green and blue colors, and for the trunk portion, I mixed red, then purple and little bit of yellow color. And after it dried, I am marking out the branches. This is a simple step to paint a tree in watercolors. So if you are beginner in watercolor and you want to make a new painting, always start with a simple subject and practice it several times. For example, if you want to paint this tree, you have to practice several times to make it more beautiful. When you practice each and every time, focus on the brush strokes, focus on the light and shadow effect, focus on the color mixing. Also enjoy the painting process. In that way, you can learn watercolors more easily. In step 6, we are going to paint the fence, and we are going to finish the painting in style. So let's see what are the things we have to focus on while finishing a painting. For the fence, we can mix the same colors that we did for the trunk of the tree, which is lemon yellow plus cadmium red plus purple, which makes the wooden color. Then after first layer dried up, we can add more shadow effect by adding more purple to the paint. There's a little bit of difference between the paint on the palette and the paint on the paper, and the paint on the paper after it dried. When you look at the paint on the palette, it will seem more saturated, and when you apply it on the paper, when it's in a wet state, it will also be looking saturated. But when it dries up, the paint will look more lighter in color. This is a property of the watercolor. So when you make a watercolor painting, don't forget this property. As you can see in this video, I am painting little bit of detail here and there. I am making some fences at the far away mountains, and I am adding some more grass on the mountains. And this is how I finish the painting. And finally, we got a beautiful greenery landscape. When you frame it and hang it on your walls, this is what it looked like. Through this tutorial video, I hope you understood how to paint a greenery landscape with watercolors. And I hope each and every beautiful artist watching this video will try this painting. If you like this landscape painting tutorial video, just type landscape in the comment box, and see you in another video. It's me, artist Sachin, your passionate art teacher, signing off. Bye.